right, guys, I'm making a video. This one is actually, this was triggered by some comments that were on my Instagram. I try to let a lot of things I see on the internet roll off my back and just ignore them, but you know, there is some controversy going on right now over Josh Bader's Series Grade when we went to Spokane. I know you guys saw that video of us running a 10.0 at 140 miles an hour was our best pass of the day. And there's a lot of controversy on the internet about how much power the car was actually making. And people were claiming the car was making a lot more than I said it was, or I claimed on my Instagram posts. Just wanted to explain everything real quick. I'm making a video today to kind of, you know, just get rid of the rumors and put some real data for you guys to look at. I actually have all the data logs of that day of the car, of how much boost it was running and how much timing it was running. And the entire day we were actually down on power quite a bit from where the car was originally dynoed down here at sea level. The car was dynoed at HMS on our dyno at sea level, and Spokane, the DA that day was over 4,600 feet at that particular track event. So anybody that, you know, knows cars and knows turbo cars knows that that DA definitely hurts performance and you make a lot less power. And so most of the day was me trying to get that power back, really. We never really did get the full power the car was making at sea level down here on the dyno, and largely in part to we didn't get enough runs. You know, at one point we were sitting there for almost 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours before getting one pass down the track. Then we started, you know, I started getting a handle on the tune, started getting the car, you know, closer to where it was supposed to be. The car started going faster, and then we lost the transmission, unfortunately. So we didn't really get an opportunity to really get the full potential out of the car that day, which kind of sucks, but I'm still really happy with the 10.0 at 140 pass. That's extremely good for a full weight street car. No weight reduction whatsoever on that car. 6.4, 6.6 turbo, you know, it's great. I was really happy with it. And there was more in the car. We just couldn't make it happen that day after we lost transmission. So I'm going to show you guys some data. I'm going to put some screen recording on this video and show you, I'm going to go over the actual logs of the car that day and show you guys how much boost it was running. And to anybody that knows on the dyno video, you can go back and watch the dyno video on my YouTube channel of that car on the dyno, what it made. That car ended up breaking just over 700 wheel horsepower Mustang dyno, but it took 51 PSI to do it. So, you know, everybody's saying, you know, oh, the car is making over 900 or 800 that day at the track because you guys turned it up. Well, I did turn the car up, but I was never making near that power the car was making at sea level. And I'm going to prove that to you guys in the video. You know, the whole Mustang dyno, DynoJet, you know, debate, that's going to go on till the end of time. But I'm here to tell you there is a difference. I've proven it in the past with cars I've taken to both dynos, back-to-back, same tunes. Some people claim that there's roughly a 15% difference on an all-wheel drive Subaru compared between the dynos. So, you know, I've personally, my dyno, I've made it to where you guys see some of the graphs at the end of the video. You'll see two numbers. You'll see a DynoJet and then a Mustang dyno number. And all I've done is just go into the graph and I added another channel to the graph that just multiplies by a percentage. I have not modified the calibration on the dyno to make it read different or anything. I'm still running the exact same calibration that the dyno was bought brand new from Mustang Dyno with. And I even had Don, the engineer at Mustang, come out and verify that the dyno was accurate and running properly when it was installed. Since it's been installed, he's been out several times to verify the calibration, you know, over the years, and it's still right on point. So my dyno, just so you guys know, when you see that graph, when I post at the end of my videos that shows Mustang and DynoJet, people say 15% to some people even say 18% difference. I don't believe that's true. So I always go on the conservative side. I've got it set up for 13%. So realistically, I'm being as conservative as possible because people like to know the difference between the numbers. And, you know, personally, I don't get caught up on the numbers. You know, when I dyno my cars, I go off Mustang dyno numbers and that's it. And then when I go to the track or I race somebody and I tell them what the car made Mustang dyno, they get upset. And they're always like, there's no way that car only makes 500 or 600. That's bullshit. Well, you know, that's what it makes Mustang dyno, and that's what I claim. But, you know, people get caught up in numbers. It's a big mess. I mean, at the end of the day, the dyno's a tool for tuning, and that's what I use it for. I use it to map the car and get the car running properly. And I usually just go to the track, you know, and look at my trap speeds and whatnot to kind of guesstimate where the car should be and where it is. But yeah, so anyways, I am going to make a video in the future strictly about the dyno, and I'm going to go over a lot of it with you guys and explain it to you. And I'm going to show you how it works and prove it to you guys. So anyways, I'm going to get this video started. I'm going to put some data logs up on the screen, and I'm going to narrate, and I'm going to go through and explain the data logs and what's going on. All right, guys. So this is a data log from the Series Gray on Bader's car at the track day. You guys will see at the top, it says Series Gray 19, track day 5/24/2020, which was the day we were at Spokane. You'll see BBG track map as the folder. So what that means is the first change I made when I got there during the day was I actually turned the car down. So boost by gear is what BBG means, because we were concerned with leaving off the line with too much boost and blowing the tires off. Bader was very adamant that he wanted the car turned down in first gear. So first gear was the only gear that I attempted to turn down on this pass. Later on throughout the day, we actually started taking that back out and turning it back up a little bit in first gear. When it left the dyno, it was full boost in every gear. So we've turned the car down in first gear to attempt to get a better 60 foot and control the car better. And he was also worried about his output shaft and his transmission, since his transmission was stock and he was on slicks. So we're going to go over this log here. So I'm going to explain a few things to you guys here. We have accelerator position, which is right here. So this is basically how much he's pressing the throttle down in the car physically. Then we have boost. That's pretty self-explanatory. We have load, coolant temp, things like that. We scroll down. We've got the ethanol content, feedback knock, fuel pressure, shows what gear we were in. We have ignition timing, injector duty cycle, intake temperature, RPM, requested torque, and then we have our roughness counts on all 4 cylinders, and we have vehicle speed, wastegate duty, and such. So we have a lot of data here to look at. So this pass here, as you'll see, so the accelerator position, we come up, we get on full throttle. And right here, if you look, this is our boost right here. So coming out of first gear, we were at about 36 PSI of boost. Right here, this little blip that you see right here, this is actually Bader shifting into second gear. So if you guys, I mean, I don't know about how, you know, I've seen a lot of logs, and I will say right now that Bader is an animal when it comes to shifting a stock 6-speed transmission, because we literally don't see any drop in boost, but maybe a PSI between his shifts, and if that, and that's the 1-2. Up here in the 3-4, there is literally no drop, maybe half a pound. So anyways, as you can see, first gear, we're only hitting 36 pounds, 37 pounds. So I turned the car down in first to get a better 60 foot. Then we get into second gear. We're hitting 40.37. Right at the top of the pull, we're creeping up to about 43 pounds. Then we shift into fourth. So right here, actually, let me see. This is first, second, third gear. So this is third gear, sorry. Then we're at 43 pounds, and we're holding pretty solid most of third gear, 43 pounds. And then right before the shift, right about here, we get a shift. Bader does his little crazy rev limiter shift, which spikes the boost up to 47, but the car's not even using that yet. Then we see right here he has trouble getting it into fourth gear because he popped off the rev limiter. Gets it into fourth gear, then has to re-spool the turbo. We're down at 17 pounds. So that was lost a lot of time right there on the pass. Finally, in fourth gear, we get up in full boost and we ride out to like 44, 45 pounds. So anybody that knows, that's seen the dyno video of what this car made, this car was dynoed in fourth gear. And on the dyno, when it made 713 or 720, I forget, it was 713 wheel horsepower Mustang dyno, which works out to about 800 on a dyno jet if you give a 13% correction. That was at 51 psi, and that was also at sea level. So if you look here, we're only running at the top of, like in fourth gear, we're only riding out right on this pass at 45 pounds to 46 pounds. So we are not only down on boost big time from where the dyno was, but we are at a higher elevation with a higher DA. The intake temperatures that day were terrible. We were in, 85-degree weather and bright sun, heat-soaked car. So we're definitely down on power. I mean, there's no doubt about it. The car wasn't even making near what it was supposed to make on the dyno that day. So that right there just, proves, everybody says that we turned the car up and it was making more than it ever made on the dyno. It's simply not true. I know where a lot of this stems from, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. But everybody, this is data that's real. I can't manipulate this data. This data is a log straight from that track day. So the log is what it is. We can go down and look at the log here, and I'm going to show you guys everything. I'm going to be as transparent as possible. So I'll show you my ignition timing I was running too. Our timing was about 19 degrees in fourth gear up top. You guys probably won't know, you're not all Subaru tuners, but 19 degrees is pretty safe for a car that's on, let's see, what was our ethanol content? So I'll go down, where is it? Ethanol content was 91.9%. So we were running E90 is what he was running, the Ignite E90, I believe. Let's see. Feedback knocks is fine. So here's our gear positions. You can see first, second, third, fourth gear. And injector duty cycle, we were sitting pretty. We were at about 79 to 80%. On the dyno, we were using a lot more injector because we were running a lot more boost. So that's another indication that we were down on boost. Intake temperatures, as you can see here, started getting pretty warm. They weren't too bad yet. We maxed out around 131 degrees Fahrenheit on the intake temp at the end of the pass. You can see here that rev limiter I was talking about, he was trying to find fourth gear. He was tapping 9,200 RPM trying to find fourth, and then finally got it into fourth, and we dropped down to 6,200 RPM, which just kills your ET. These shifts here look good. You can see him, he was tapping 91 and dropping down to 57. Actually, he was actually having trouble shifting there too a little bit. So, he was definitely fighting a transmission synchro issue, that's for sure, which definitely kills ET. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up another log here. So I'm going to go down, I'll pull up another log. So you can see the timestamps, 418, 521, 6 o'clock, 225. These are all passes back to back to back. So there's no manipulation in any of these logs. I mean, these are raw data that was pulled as soon as the car came around after the trap. I pulled it into the laptop and looked at it. So the next pass is right here. We're going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit so you guys can see the data a little better. We're going to go back in here. Now on this pass, I attempted to turn the car up more. And that last pass that it made, that was, I think it was like a 10.3, 10.4 at like 137 or something like that. So definitely needed to go faster. So I started trying to add duty cycle to make up for the DA that day for the boost issues we were having. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here a little more so we can see the whole pull here. So here we go. First gear, we come out of first gear. We're still down. I've still got it limited in first gear to 36 pounds. So the car's still turned down in first. Then we get into second. And now we're getting up there a little bit. We're hitting 44, 45 pounds, 46, just touching, I think, 47 before the shift. Then we're riding out in fourth gear, 46, 45, 46, right in there. I think the highest we saw, there we go. So we're getting 47, 48 pounds, 47, 48. We're riding 48. We're hitting 49. And right about there is we hit like 49 PSI was the most, then we dropped down to 48. So we're riding about 48 to 49 pounds on that pass. This pass here was the 10.0 at 140. So we're still down on boost. We're down about 2 pounds, 2 or 3 pounds from where the car was dynoed at its peak power, where we claimed our numbers. We are still down on power though. Let's go down here, and you can see now our intake temps and our coolant temps are starting to get a little warm. So our coolant temperatures are getting up around 215, 216, it looks like at the top of the pull. Not terrible, but the car's getting warm. It's starting to heat soak. Ethanol, same. Fuel pressure is good. Let's see, ignition timing, we're riding out. So we're riding out. We got more ignition timing in it this time. We're at 22.5 degrees, basically at peak ignition timing is what it looks like. 24 actually, right at red line as we shift. So we're going to come down injector duty cycle. We're looking better now because we're running more boost now. So we're at 87% injector duty cycle, which is good. So we're definitely making more power on this pass. However, we're still down on power from where we were on the dyno. Got our mile per hour, wastegate duty. So yeah. Okay guys, now we're going to pull up the dyno logs to prove that what the car is making for boost and everything on the dyno the day it was dynoed to HMS. So this is the folder of all the tunes I made for his car. He has a street map, a kill map, and basically a hot map. The kill map is what we run when we're at the track, so we're going to be looking at that one. So we come over to basically these are the logs from that night. So you can see here they're all by date. And it was 11:39 p.m. on the 18th was the last pull we did when we popped the head gasket on the dyno, and we were at about 51 PSI and we were going for it. So that was the most the car ever made on the dyno. So we're going to go ahead and pull this log up. Okay, so now we're here. This log's going to look a little different because as you can see here, there's only one spot where we're flooring it. Well, that's a fourth gear pull on the dyno. So that's how you know this data we're looking at is a dyno pull. So we're going to go ahead and zoom in a lot so you guys can get some more resolution on this pull. So here we go. This is the pull right here from the dyno. So we're going to zoom in a little bit more. Now you can see here accelerator position 100%. You can see engine speed starts out at 2,000 RPM and we cut it off at 8,000 RPM on the dyno. We actually revved it a little bit higher at the track, which the power was already falling off after 7,500 on the dyno. I can post the graph to show you guys that anyway. So just so nobody says, well, you only revved it to 9,000 on the dyno or 8,000 on the dyno, but you revved it at 9 at the track, so it's making more power. No, this car doesn't make more power above 8,000. It has a Brian Crower 272 camshaft in it, which is well out of power by 8K, if anybody knows how cams and Subarus. If this car had a GSC S3 cam in it with a 6870 or a 72 millimeter turbo, then yeah, there's more power to be had up there. But on a 64 millimeter turbo with Brian Crower 272s, no, there's no more power to be had up there, I promise you. So anyways, you can see here's our boost. So on the dyno, we're doing our fourth gear pull. There's 50 pounds already right there as we get into the pull. We ride out about 50. You can see right there 50.67, 50.81 PSI. Our max boost right here, 50.92 PSI. So 51 pounds of boost is what we were running on the dyno. Now I know everybody's going to want to see timing. So I don't know why timing's not coming up in here on this, but I'm going to go ahead and pull the raw data log for you guys to see. So I'm going to minimize this. And I'm going to pull this log up in Excel, which is going to show me more PIDs so you guys can see the raw data. So here's the raw data from the pull. So we're just going to go down to this column here. We're going to find where I start going 100% throttle. So I'm shifting, I'm getting the car up in the fourth gear, and then boom, Okay, 100% throttle, just like the other log showed, starting out at 2000 RPM-ish. We're going to follow it up. And we're going to go all the way to redline. So you can see here I revved it to about 8,000, 8,100-ish. So at that RPM, 21 degrees of timing. Now, on the other log that you guys saw on the track, you guys saw 24 degrees right at about 9,100 RPM because he was revving the snot out of it trying to find fourth gear. If we were revving it higher on the dyno here, this timing, as you can see, timing is increasing as RPM goes up. It's going to keep going to that 24 degrees. So it's the same map, I promise you. You look over here, 50.92 pounds of boost on the dyno is what we hit. So there you go. So now you guys can understand that the logs and what I'm claiming all match. So this data, you know, I'm not going to manipulate, and I can't manipulate it because if you look at these data timestamps on these files last time they were modified are the dates of when the car was dynoed and on the track. So none of that's going on. So I just wanted you guys to see this stuff because I get irritated when, you know, things like this on the internet come about. All right, guys, so I showed you guys the logs, proved that we were definitely making less power at the track in Spokane, given DA and actual data to show boost numbers and timing. Not a lot of tuners are going to do this and show you what I just showed you, but I'm trying to be as transparent as possible because my biggest pet peeve is when I try to be honest about what I'm doing and somebody calls me out and says that I'm lying and it's not true. When it's not true, I'm gonna defend myself to the end because you know, despite racing and bragging and shit talking, I mean, it's part of the sport. But when it comes down to statements that I make on my Facebook or on my Instagram of my tuning and what I'm doing, I am always honest and I tell the truth. So this particular comment, you know, on my Instagram that got to me, I'm not going to name the person that did it. He knows who he is. And, you know, he knows me. We know each other. We've gone back and forth for a long time. He's big in the industry. But yeah, I mean, it triggered me a little bit because, you know, I try to have integrity and I try to do things, you know, as honest as possible when it comes down to my tuning and whatnot. Now, there is a history that brought this up with another, you know, friend of mine that I tune his car. You guys will know who I'm talking about. It's Patrick with the white hatch. Now, Patrick is a street racer and he loves to talk shit. So I can understand where some of this speculation has come from in calling me out on the car making way more power than it was supposed to be making, because we had a race, you know, a while back with his car versus, you know, another car. It was a Camaro. And we went out to a race event. We were the underdogs. We went out there and, you know, we were on the street map that we had run on that car for a long time that, you know, was making about 700 on my dyno. It was like 690 or something. Mustang dyno. We were running it on that map most of the day. And, you know, this race had a lot of people watching and Patrick really wanted to win. And when the race finally came up, yeah, I turned the car up a lot for this last race that he had. And he told me to send it and give it everything the car had. And if it made one pass, he didn't care. So yeah, we sent it on that race. And that race, he did do a lot of jiving and conniving and talking trash and going back and forth on the numbers, but that was all him. That wasn't me. You know, I admitted, you know, that I turned the car up to the moon on that pass and it made, you know, we don't know what it was making, but if I had to guess, it was making almost 100 more than it did on the dyno on that one. So that being said, you know, I hope you guys like the video. You know, I keep logs of every car I've ever tuned. I have logs that go back years. And from time to time, I need to pull them up to, you know, shut up the haters or the rumors. And I have no problem doing that, you know, because I like to speak the truth, and I like to be as honest as possible. So I'm going to end this video here, guys. If you guys have any other comments or questions, feel free to reach out to me. But that's going to be it for now. We'll see you later.